Welcome back to FryMinis. I'm Eric, and today in our continuing coverage of The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, we're taking a look at magic items. Before we jump in though, if you haven't already, be sure to enter the FryMinis September giveaway. We're giving away the limited edition cover of this book of Witchlight, of Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, and a $100 gift card to Miniature Market. Link in the description. Check it out. It's all free. It's all easy. Good luck. So this video and all my other Witchlight content will be housed in one big playlist. I should have a pop-up here. Otherwise, check out the description. You can see everything there, and I'm just going to keep adding to it as I put out more and more videos. All right, so I'm sure I am not alone in saying that I love magic items. I love it when we have a book full of them. I love it when we have a good variety and weak things to strong things, just magic items, gimme, right? In this book, I was a little nervous. Adventure books often have not a lot of new magic items, maybe a couple. But this one, Witchlight, has tons of magic items, and so many of them are awesome. Spread throughout the book, you'll see things like a +1 longsword or a +1 dagger that can only be used as a dagger by a small creature because it's really tiny. And you'll see things that you already know about, like potions of healing. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about new items. So there are two key items that are added in the middle of the book. And then at the end, we've got a whole section just for the magic items. And that's what we're going to dig through. Now, I want to caution, this one has some pretty significant spoilers. One of the items, just the name alone, is going to give away a major plot point. So caution, spoiler warning. There you go. All right, so if you don't know already, the Witchlight Carnival, the name comes kind of from the two leaders of it. Not going into spoilers, but the Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. And they each have a super duper cool magic item that, unless you do something funny, I don't think the players would ever end up with, but they're listed in here, so I want to cover them. So let's first take a look at Mr. Witch's Witchlight Watch. The Witchlight Watch is a wondrous item, legendary, requires attunement by Mr. Witch himself or his hand-picked successor. This ornate pocket watch is fastened to the end of a gold chain. It glows with a faint golden light when opened, and it makes a soft ticking noise that can only be heard by the creature holding it. The face of the watch shows a miniature painting of the Witchlight Carnival ringed by a tiny henge, orbited at night by a mote of light small enough to slip through the eye of a needle. This light causes the henge to cast shadows, and these shadows allow the watch owner to track the passage of time. Sounds cool. It's very thematic, and it just seems neat. So it's got a couple key abilities that we're going to take a look at. Carnival setup and takedown. The creature attuned to the watch can use an action to initiate the packing up or the unpacking of the Witchlight Carnival, provided the creature and the carnival are on the same plane of existence. In the span of 1 hour, all objects that are elements of the carnival are magically whisked about until everything is packed up and ready for travel, or unpacked and assembled. The watch has no effect on creatures, which can move about freely and safely while the carnival is being set up or taken down. Once the process of packing up or unpacking the carnival begins, it can't be stopped until the task is complete. When the watch is used to pack up or unpack the carnival, this property cannot be used again until 8 hours have elapsed. So, convenient way to explain how they get all their stuff set up and taken down easily. It's completely, like, in-game, it's totally useless for, like, combat or whatever, but it's a nice little, oh, how'd they do that kind of thing. And we have some additional properties. While carrying the watch, the creature attuned to it can cast the Firebolt, Invisibility, or Message spell as an action, requiring no spell components and using Intelligence as a spellcasting ability. After the watch's Invisibility spell is cast, roll a d8. On a 3 or 8, the watch can't be used to cast the spell again until the next dawn. The creature attuned to this watch gains 30 pounds. This extra weight vanishes when the attunement ends. The creature attuned to the watch must eat and drink 8 times the normal amount each day. So, I mean, I think that's funny. Attuning to this watch just adds on 30 pounds. Wonder if I'm secretly attuned to a watch and don't know it. So while that item is cool and flavorful, the next one, Mr. Light's Witchlight Weather Vane, is much more powerful. The Witchlight Vane is a wondrous item. Legendary, requires attunement by Mr. Light or his handpicked successor. This ornate rod is topped by a pair of butterfly wings and incorporates bits of red glass into its length. It weighs 3 pounds. So first of all, it's a magic weapon. Magic weapon. In the hands of one who is attuned to it, the vane can be wielded as a magic mace, granting +3 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with it. In addition, the vane deals an extra 1d8 radiant damage on a hit. So right off the bat, you've got a +3 weapon that does an extra d8. Like, okay. Sense mood. While the vane is inside the perimeter of the Witchlight Carnival, it can sense the mood of every creature in the carnival that has an intelligence of 4 or higher. As an action, a creature attuned to the vane can use it to pinpoint the location of the happiest creature in the carnival. The butterfly shape at the top of the vane spins slowly clockwise when spirits in the carnival are generally high. If the general mood in the carnival is dour, the top of the vane spins slowly counterclockwise. So this has that flavor of running the actual carnival, letting you know if people are having a good time magically, and you can find the happiest person, so you can say, hey, thanks. Sentience. The vane is a sentient, chaotic good, wondrous item with an intelligence of 11, a wisdom of 14, and a charisma of 14. It has hearing and normal vision out to a range of 30 feet, and it communicates by transmitting emotion to the creature attuned to it. Its purpose is to make sure everyone in the Witchlight Carnival is having a good time. All right. Communicating through emotions is interesting. Additional properties. The vane has the following additional properties. The creature holding the vane has vulnerability to lightning damage. The creature attuned to the vane can't be blinded, deafened, petrified, or stunned. While carrying the vane, creature attuned to it can cast Dancing Lights, Polymorph, or Ray of Frost spell as an action, requiring no spell components and using Charisma as a spellcasting ability. After the vane's Polymorph spell is cast, roll a d8. On a 3 or 8, the watch can't be used to cast the spell again until the next dawn. Dancing Lights, great spell. Ray of Frost, great spell. And obviously, Polymorph is a fantastic spell. So you've got a +3 mace that does an extra d8. You've got a sentient creature, and you've got a magic wand, basically. Very, very cool item. I just wish these were actually published in the back of the book, but I guess the idea is you're not going to get these normally, so that's okay. Okay, so remember, we're skipping over the regular items that are just like treasure, just loot in the story. So the potion of invisibility, winged boots, those are the kind of things that you already know. We're not covering those. We're looking now at the treasure section. Going in alphabetical order, we have our first item, and it's a new item. Bobbing Lily Pad, wondrous item, very rare, requires attunement. This magic vehicle is a 10-foot diameter leaf that floats on water. It has tendrils that propel it across land and across the water's surface, but not underwater, as well as through the air. It has a walking, flying, and swimming speed of 20 feet and can hover and moves according to your spoken directions while you are riding it. The lily pad can transport up to 300 pounds without hindrance. It can carry up to twice this weight, but moves at half speed if it carries more than its normal capacity. So it's like a toned down magic carpet, I guess. I love the idea of it. Our next item is also new, Chromatic Rose. Wondrous item, rare. This magic rose comes in one of 5 colors as noted in the Chromatic Roses table. While a rose is held, it gains a harmless visual effect as indicated on the table. While holding the rose by its stem, you gain resistance to damage of the type associated with the rose's color. If you would take more than 10 damage of this type from a single source after applying the resistance, the rose disintegrates and you take no damage instead. As an action, you can blow the petals from the rose to produce a 20-foot cone of acid, lightning, poisonous gas, fire, or cold, as dictated by the rose's damage type. Each creature in the cone must make a DC 15 Constitution saving throw, taking 3d10 damage of the appropriate type on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Using this property destroys the rose. In our Chromatic Rose colors, we have black, drips acid and does acid damage. Blue crackles with lightning to do lightning damage. Green issues green gas to do poison damage. Red is wreathed in fire to do fire damage, and white is covered with frost and does cold damage. Very cool. I like this kind of consumable. I like that you have multiple uses for it, for the resistance as a like one big mega block. I think is cool. To do its damage, I think is neat. A variety. This is a really, really good item. I like this one a lot. Our next one is Cloak of Many Fashions. So this is a reprint. Wondrous item, common. While wearing this cloak, you can use a bonus action to change the style, color, and apparent quality of the garment. The cloak's weight doesn't change regardless of its appearance. The cloak can't be anything but a cloak. Although it can duplicate the appearance of other magic cloaks, it doesn't gain their magical properties. This is actually one of my favorite common items. The versatility, the role playing, the disguise options you can get out of it are really great. Our next one is also a reprint, Dread Helm, wondrous item, common. This fearsome steel helm makes your eyes glow red and hides the rest of your face in shadow while you wear it. This is a good one. It's just full flavor. It's spooky. It's intimidating. I mean, if you're wearing this and you're at my table, yeah, I'll probably give you advantage on an intimidation check. Dust of Corrosion is next, and it's new. Dust of Corrosion, wondrous item, uncommon. As an action, you can throw this dust into the air, filling a 10-foot cube that extends out from you. Surfaces and objects made of non-magical ferrous metal in the area instantly corrode and turn to dust, becoming useless and unsalvageable. Any creature in the area that is made wholly or partially out of ferrous metal must make a DC 13 Constitution saving throw, taking 48 necrotic damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. Found in a small packet, this dust is made from finely ground rust monster antennae. There is enough dust in each packet for one use. Very cool. Very confusing in practice, I think. Non-ferrous. Okay, so as I understand it, ferrous means iron, but I don't like. Is mithril? Is that a pure element, or is that an alloy that might contain iron? I don't know. So I like the idea, but I think we could use a little bit of maybe some examples. We've got another new item, the Eldritch Staff. Eldritch Staff. Very rare, requires attunement. This staff can be wielded as a magic quarterstaff that grants +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls. The staff has 10 charges and regains 1d6 plus 4 expended charges daily at dawn. If you expend the last charge, roll d20. On a 1, the staff is destroyed in an otherwise harmless burst of Eldritch energy. Eldritch Attack. When you hit with a melee attack using the staff, you can expend up to 3 of its charges. For each charge you expend, the target takes an extra 1d8 lightning damage. And Eldritch Escape. If you take damage while holding the staff, you can use your reaction to expend 3 of the staff's charges, whereupon you turn invisible and teleport yourself, along with any equipment you are wearing or carrying, up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. You remain invisible until the start of your next turn, or until you attack, cast a spell, or deal damage. So this is cool. I think this could work for really anybody that's going to use the staff. But there's so few monk-friendly items that I'd want to give this to the monk. Okay, so we are going to pop out of our alphabetical order to skip an item that we'll come back to at the end. And that's the real spoilery one I'm talking about. So we're going to skip over that. We'll come back to it. And now we're going to go to another reprint of the Instrument of Scribing. Instrument of Scribing, wondrous item, common, requires attunement. This musical instrument has 3 charges. While you are playing it, you can use an action to expend 1 charge from the instrument and write a magical message on a non-magical object or surface that you can see within 30 feet of you. The message can be up to 6 words long and is written in a language you know. If you are a bard, you can scribe an additional 7 words and choose to make the message glow faintly, allowing it to be seen in non-magical darkness. Casting Dispel Magic on the message erases it, otherwise the message fades away after 24 hours. The instrument regains all charges at dawn. So I think this item isn't maybe the best, right? You can always find a use for any item, but it's common, it's attunement, and you get 3 charges, right? Yeah, 3 charges. So it's going to be pretty limited when you'd want to use this. I don't know. Just use Prestidigitation. Another reprint, Orb of Direction. Orb of Direction, wondrous item, common. While holding this orb, you can use an action to determine which way is north. This property functions only on the material plane. This is a great one. You can use this if you're lost, if you're, I don't know. I mean, it tells you which way is north. It's a compass, right? But it's not attunement like the last thing. So throw it in your bag. You might need it. You might not. I feel like a lot of times a DM might not even call for that. Like you know which way is north, but I think using this underground would be helpful, would be really neat. We have a new item, Ornithopter of Flying. Wondrous item, very rare. Not attunement. You can use this contraption to fly, provided your weight, including whatever you're wearing or carrying, doesn't exceed 300 pounds. The Ornithopter has a flying speed of 30 feet, and it moves according to your spoken directions while you're riding it. It can't hover. If the Ornithopter loses its rider while airborne, it falls and can't fly again for 1d6 plus 4 days. The Ornithopter is 8 feet long and has a 14-foot wingspan and weighs 25 pounds. So, yeah, when you need flight, but you don't have a spell slot. I like the idea that it can basically break and take some time to repair itself. I like that you have the max weight on there, and you just tell it where to go, and it goes. It's nice. It's nice. It's very rare, so I'm okay with it. Pipe of Smoke Monsters is a reprint. Pipe of Smoke Monsters, wondrous item, common. While smoking this pipe, you can use an action to exhale a puff of smoke that takes the form of a single creature, such as a dragon, a flump, or a froghemoth. The form must be small enough to fit in a 1-foot cube and loses its shape after a few seconds, becoming an ordinary puff of smoke. I love common magic items. You can use it to tell your story. If you encounter some villagers or people who aren't used to magic items, I think this could be really neat. You could impress them and maybe make yourself seem more powerful than you actually were. And I mean, nothing says that you had to actually like fight these or anything. So, oh yeah, I'm a great dragon slayer. Here's an example of a dragon I've slain. Okay. I don't know. It's fun flavor. Pixie Dust is a new one. Pixie Dust, wondrous item, uncommon. It's brand new. As an action, you can sprinkle this dust on yourself or another creature you can see within 5 feet of you. The recipient gains a flying speed of 30 feet and the ability to hover for 1 minute. If the creature is airborne when this effect ends, it falls safely to the ground, taking no damage and landing on its feet. A small packet holds enough pixie dust for 1 use. I like it. I would definitely make this kind of hard to come by. I know it's uncommon, but a minute of no concentration flight for an uncommon, I could see that getting kind of tricky, especially if you are using some like crafting rules. Since this is technically an uncommon consumable, this would be pretty easy to craft. So just be cautious, but don't get too freaked out by your players flying. If you're a brand new DM, I get it. It's a whole new dimension to think in, but anything beyond that, it's not that big of a deal. You can handle it. We've got a repeat with the Pole of Collapsing. Pole of Collapsing, wondrous item, common. While holding this 10-foot pole, you can use an action to speak a command word and cause it to collapse into a 1-foot long rod for ease of storage. The pole's weight doesn't change. You can use an action to speak a different command word and cause the rod to revert to a pole. However, the rod will elongate only as far as the surrounding space allows. One of the classic adventuring items is the 10-foot pole. Check for illusions. Check for traps. Maybe wedge a door open. Tons and tons and tons of uses. It's classic. A new potion. This is exciting. The Potion of Advantage. It's an uncommon potion, so should be fairly easy to craft. When you drink this potion, you gain advantage on one ability check, attack roll, or saving throw of your choice that you make within the next hour. This potion takes the form of a sparkling golden mist that moves and pours like water. I think this is neat. I think it's very weak, though. Even with the relatively cheap cost to craft it, I guess. 1 instance of advantage, but I guess that's also pretty close to the official version of inspiration. So maybe if you're mentally balancing it against that, I don't know. It's okay. We've got another new one. Scissors of Shadow Snipping. Wondrous item, rare. Requires attunement by a fae or a spellcaster. As an action, you make a few snips with these iron shears and cause the shadow of a humanoid creature you can see within 5 feet of you to detach from its source. If the creature is unwilling to give up its shadow, it can make a DC 15 charisma saving throw, retaining its shadow on a success. Whether or not the shadow is snipped, this property of the scissors can't be used again until the next dawn. The detached shadow is rooted to the spot where it was snipped until you use a bonus action to cause it to behave in one of the following ways, either of which is possible only if you can see the shadow. You control the shadow's movement and can make the shadow move up to 30 feet across the solid or liquid surface in any direction you choose, including vertical, provided it remains within your sight at all times. The shadow is harmless and unable to be harmed and is invisible in darkness. It can't speak, and it doesn't require air, sleep, or nourishment. You can relinquish control of the shadow, at which point it becomes autonomous and behaves as if the DM wishes. It uses the shadow stat block in the monster manual, but its creature type is Fey instead of undead. A creature whose strength is reduced to 0 by the shadow's strength drain attack does not die, but falls unconscious instead. The creature regains consciousness and all of its strength after finishing a short or long rest. A creature whose shadow has detached from it is cursed. If a shadowless creature is subjected to any spell that ends a curse, or if its detached shadow is reduced to 0 hit points, the detached shadow disappears and the creature regains its normal shadow instantly. So this is really cool, and there's a lot going on with it. I think this is one of those things that is better with the DM using it against the characters, against the players, to develop that like what is happening kind of sense of panic. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. I need help with this one. Okay, so this next item is probably my favorite item in this book. It's super duper cool. It's something you get theoretically at the very end of the book. So it's very, very, very strong, but it's like the last fight kind of situation. So don't worry about it. Snicker-snack, the Greatsword. It's legendary and requires attunement by a non-evil creature. You gain +3 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic Vorpal sword. In addition, the weapon ignores resistance to slashing damage. When you use this weapon to attack a creature that has at least one head and roll a 20 on the attack roll, you cut off one of the creature's heads. The creature dies if it can't survive without the lost head. A creature is immune to this effect if it is immune to slashing damage. It doesn't have or need a head, and it has legendary actions, or the DM decides that the creature is too big for its head to be cut off with this weapon. Such a creature instead takes an extra 68 slashing damage from the hit. While attuned to Snicker-snack, you have proficiency with great swords, and you can use your charisma modifier instead of your strength modifier for attack and damage rolls made with this weapon. Snicker-snack is a sentient, chaotic, good greatsword with an intelligence of 9, a wisdom of 14, and a charisma of 18. It has hearing and dark vision out to a range of 120 feet. It can speak, read, and understand common, and its voice sounds silvery and melodic. Snicker-snack craves the destruction of evil dragons and urges you to seek out those creatures and slay them. Snicker-snack has a fickle personality. It ends its attunement to you if you miss on attack rolls with this weapon 3 times in a row. Each time you finish a long rest after that happens, you can attempt to regain the sword's trust by making a contested charisma check against Snicker-snack. If you win this contest, your attunement to the weapon is instantly restored. Your attunement to the weapon can't be restored in any other way. What? Okay, so awesome. +3. Vorpal sword, ignores resistance to slashing, all your classic stuff right there, right? But you can use your charisma modifier instead of your strength, and you gain proficiency in great swords. This sword is, I feel like this sword is what a Hexblade patron looks like. So like if you're an actual Hexblade, you don't need this, right? But like this is what you would get your power from. Like this is a Hexblade patron is often very hard to explain, kind of in the lore of like if you're an Archfey patron warlock, it's easy. Like, oh, it's an Archfey. If it's a pack, or if it's celestial, okay, it's an angel, whatever, easy. Hexblade, I think most people just kind of gloss over it. Snicker-snack. I will be a Snicker-snack warlock. So cool. And the attunement situation, if you miss 3 times in a row, it's out, it's done, and then you have to try to persuade it. Love it. I love it, love it, love it. So cool. It looks great. It sounds great. Snicker-snack is a fantastic item. But Snicker-snack isn't our only new weapon. Up next, we have Steel, the longsword. Steel is a longsword. It's very rare, requires attunement by a good aligned creature. You have a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon. But you can also cast Revivify as an action from the sword. You must touch the target with the sword to cast the spell. Once this property of the weapon is used, it can't be used again until the next dawn. Steel is a sentient lawful good longsword with an intelligence of 8, a wisdom of 11, and a charisma of 15. It can see and hear out to a range of 60 feet. The sword can speak, read, and understand Common and Draconic. It frets over your well-being while you're attuned to it, and it doesn't like to back down from a fight. So I don't want to go into spoilers of how you get this sword, but this is like a classic lawful good paladin kind of situation. +2 longswords, great. Attunement, okay. But to get a sentient weapon out of it, which is always so fun, and you can cast Revivify. Like, of course, it's anybody with Revivify is cool, but if you're a paladin or whatever, fine. But now your fighter can have Revivify. Your Hexblade can have Revivify. It's just, wow. It's such a cool backup option. It's great. The Talking Doll is a reprint. Wondrous item, common, requires attunement. While the stuffed doll is within 5 feet of you, you can spend a short rest telling it to say up to 6 phrases, none of which can be more than 6 words long. And you can set a condition under which the doll speaks each phrase. You can also replace old phrases with new ones. Whatever the condition, it must occur within 5 feet of the doll to make it speak. For example, when someone picks up the doll, it might say, I want a piece of candy. The doll's phrases are lost when your attunement to the doll ends. So first of all, it's just very creepy. Just a creepy little thing. But use this as like an alarm. Set it in the hallway in the dark. If something walks by it, triggers. Freak people out. I don't know. And also, who's attuning to common items? Like, if you're level 1 or whatever, sure, but these things are not long for the world. Our next 2 items are kind of 1 item, kind of 2 items, and they're reprints. We have the Wand of Scowls and the Wand of Smiles, both common wands. The wand has 3 charges. While holding it, you can use an action to expend one of its charges and target a humanoid you can see within 30 feet of you. The target must succeed on a DC 10 charisma saving throw or be forced to scowl for 1 minute. The wand regains all of its charges daily at dawn. If you expend the wand's last charge, roll a d20. On a 1, the wand transforms into a Wand of Smiles. And a Wand of Smiles is the opposite. Your action causes it to smile, and if you use up the last charge and you roll poorly, it becomes a Wand of Scowls. I think this can be a fun, silly little item, but it's going to depend a lot on how your DM runs saving throws. Does somebody know if they make a saving throw? Do they know where that saving throw came from? How would they be hostile? Let's say they do know a saving throw, right? And there are lots of abilities that let you react to making a saving throw. So I think it's reasonable that you would. They don't know what you're doing. You could be casting polymorph. You could Finger of Death. They have no idea. So it can be a little spicy. And we have a new great axe, a rare great axe, Woodcutter's Axe. You have +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon when you use this axe to make an attack against a plant, an ordinary plant, or a creature with the plant type, or a wooden object that isn't being worn or carried. The attack deals an extra 2d6 slashing damage on a hit. So that means in a perfect scenario, you're doing your d12 plus 2d6. All right, nothing to go crazy for, but it's not attunement. If you get it, you get it. That's cool. Okay, our next item has a spoilery name, but I'm going to do my best to not talk about why that's spoilery. So here's your warning. If you want to bounce out, check out the playlist. Tons of other videos. But otherwise, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Igglewiv's Cauldron. If you don't know Igglewiv's. I'm going to leave that in so you all see. Igglewiv's Cauldron. Igglewив is Tasha from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. This is literally her cauldron. It's a wondrous item. It's an artifact and requires attunement by a spellcaster. Igglewив crafted this wondrous cauldron with the help of her adoptive mother, the Archfey Baba Yaga. The cauldron has 2 forms. Only Igglewив or Baba Yaga can change the cauldron from one form to another by using an action to touch it, which either can do without being attuned to the item. In its first form, the cauldron is made of solid gold and embossed on the outside with images of bare branched trees, falling leaves, and broomsticks. In its second form, the cauldron is made of iron and embossed on the outside with images of bats, toads, cats, lizards, and snakes, 8 of each animal. In either form, the cauldron is roughly 3 feet in diameter and has a 2-foot wide mouth, a round lid with a molded handle at the top, and 8 clawed feet for stability. The cauldron weighs 80 pounds when empty and can hold up to 100 gallons of liquid. Attuning to this is special. Any humanoid creature that attunes to the cauldron must succeed on a DC 15 Constitution saving throw or be aged to the point of decrepitude. In this state, the creature's speed is halved, the range of its vision and hearing is reduced to 30 feet, and it has a disadvantage on all ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws. The creature will reach the end of its natural lifespan in 3d8 days. Only a wish spell or divine intervention can reverse this aging effect on the creature. 3 hags can attune to the cauldron simultaneously, provided they have formed a coven. If the coven disbands, the attunement ends for all 3 hags. So sometimes when I'm the DM, and if players have an inspiration, which for my table we use it as a reroll, sometimes they're like, is this worth it? Is this a big one? I would definitely tell you this is a big one. You want to pass that con save. But it's also super duper fun. And I mean, if you can get through the whole adventure in just a couple days, maybe it doesn't matter. And it comes with some random properties. Regardless of the form it takes, the cauldron has the following random properties. 1 minor beneficial property determined by rolling on the minor beneficial property table in the DMG. 1 minor detrimental property determined by rolling on the minor detrimental property table in the DMG. So these are like little perks that aren't super duper. Take a look at the Dungeon Master's Guide if you really want to learn. Okay, so this super duper item has 2 forms. First, we're going to look at the gold form. The gold cauldron has the following properties. If water is poured into the cauldron and stirred for 1 minute, it transforms into a hearty hot stew that provides 1 nourishing meal for up to 4 people per gallon of water used. The stew remains hot while in the cauldron, then cools naturally after it's removed. The outside of the cauldron remains safe to touch despite the heat of the stew. If a wine is poured into the cauldron and stirred for 10 minutes, it transforms into a magical elixir that fortifies up to 4 people per gallon of wine used. Any creature that imbibes the elixir gains 10 temporary hit points. Any of the elixir that isn't consumed within 1 hour vanishes. Once used, this property of the cauldron can't be used again until the next dawn. When the cauldron is filled with 90 gallons of water mixed with 10 gallons of wine, it can be used as the focus for a scrying spell. When this spell is cast using the cauldron as its focus, the target of the spell fails its saving throw automatically. and the spell works even if the caster and the target are on different planes of existence. When the spell ends, all the liquid in the cauldron vanishes. Dipping the bristles of an ordinary broom into the water-filled cauldron transforms the broom into a broom of flying for 3 days. Once used, this property of the cauldron can't be used again until the next dawn. So we have food source, we have temporary hit point source, we have brooms of flying sources, but I think the best here is scrying. Auto fails, works across planes. Very, very powerful. Let's take a look at the iron version. The iron cauldron has the following properties. You can use an action to scream into the empty cauldron, which magically summons a swarm of bats that flies out of the cauldron and acts immediately after you in the initiative order. The swarm obeys your commands and disappears after 1 minute if it hasn't been destroyed by then. Once used, this property of the cauldron can't be used again until the next dawn. If at least 1 gallon of blood is poured into the cauldron and stirred for 1 minute, it turns into a cloud of harmless black smoke that erupts from the cauldron and dissipates quickly. At the same time, all humanoid creatures within a certain radius of the cauldron fall unconscious for 1 hour, except for those that are attuned to the cauldron or immune to being charmed. The radius of the effect is 100 feet per gallon of blood used. An unconscious creature awakens if it takes damage, or if someone uses an action to shake or slap it. Once used, this property of this cauldron can't be used again until the next dawn. Tying a dead frog or toad to the end of an ordinary branch and dipping it into the water-filled cauldron transforms the branch into a wand of polymorph with 3 charges. This wand can't recharge and crumbles to ashes when its final charge is expended. Once used, this property of the cauldron can't be used again for 8 days. If you spend 1 minute touching the cauldron with a unicorn's horn while reciting the poem called The Witch Queen's Cauldron, all creatures within 1,000 feet of the cauldron, except for those that are attuned to it, become frozen in time. A time-frozen creature is incapacitated, can't move or speak, doesn't age, and is unaware of its surroundings or the passage of time. Moreover, it can't be moved, harmed in any way, or affected by any other magic. All other conditions and effects on the creature are suppressed until it is no longer frozen in time. Destroying the cauldron, sending it into another plane of existence, or touching it with a unicorn's horn for 1 minute while reciting the Witch Queen's Cauldron ends the time freezing effect on all creatures. The effect also ends on any creature that comes into contact with an anti-magic field or is touched by a unicorn's horn. So that's a lot. I told you this cauldron is so much. At the end of the day, a wand of polymorph on demand is pretty neat, but there's a lot going on here. Let's destroy the cauldron. The cauldron is a medium object with AC 19, 80 hit points, and immunity to damage from any source other than a flame tongue or frost brand weapon. Reducing the cauldron to 0 hit points with such a weapon shatters the cauldron into 8 pieces of roughly equal size, whereupon all ongoing effects created by the cauldron ends as it loses magic. The destruction of Igwilv's cauldron causes all hags in the multiverse to lose the shared spellcasting trait gained by being in a coven. I think that makes this the most powerful item in the entire game. Not for any one campaign, but just the idea of it. And now we can reconstruct the cauldron. If all 8 pieces of the shattered cauldron are within 5 feet of one another, a wish spell can reassemble them, restoring the cauldron and all of its properties. The cauldron's reconstruction also restores the shared spellcasting trait of hag covens throughout the multiverse. So, this isn't an item that is meant really for players to just find in a treasure hoard or something. This is it kind of creates the whole adventure, right? This is a mega critical thing. This is an artifact. This is what you build your entire game around. So yes, it's absurdly powerful and can do tons and tons of stuff, but that's the point. Don't just give this to your players at level 1 or whatever, or do in DM challenge mode. Go with that. So, all right. I think all these items overall are great. I'm so happy that there's so many items in this book. A great variety, multiple uses. I mean, heck, there's the staff that's great for monks. Like you put that in there and it works out. And again, this is all in addition to the regular loot in the game. The Ring of Shooting Stars, +1 weapons, lots of potions, all sorts of cool stuff there. So check out the book, but those are all items from the Dungeon Master's Guide already. So I know this is a very long video. If you're still here, thanks for watching. But whatever, thanks for watching anyway. Please like, subscribe if you're enjoying what you're seeing here. Stay tuned. We'll get more content out as we're able to. I'm doing my best here. I'm staying up all night putting these together. Enter the contest. Good luck. Thanks, everybody. See you in the next one.